Just welcome to session 3. We're just going to pop into Learn, which is basically the introduction to AutoCAD. No worries. Yeah. So I'll just set it up so it looks like year 1 here, and blow it up a bit. All right. So So we began. Well, apart from the user interface, we began the practice exercise sort of last week. Really, we're running about maybe about half an hour to an hour late. Should have started the week before. Maybe about less than half a session behind we have been, which is not too bad considering the size of the classroom. So we did this thing called coordinates minus layers. So we didn't do any layers. But we're going to do some later on. So I'm trying not to cover what we are going to. I know we're going to cover later. So just to streamline it, and that's how I've done it last time as well. And that's how I do even the normal AutoCAD courses that are part of a diploma or certificate course here, which run over double the length of time, almost double. Actually, a couple hours a week for 6 months. Two terms. Then they do a more elaborate sort of house design anyway. So a lot of time is taken doing that. So it sort of equals the same at the end of the day. So let's have a look. So they do the same thing with them basically. Yeah. So. All right, so in additional exercises, let's practice exercises. So we've got here the coordinates, which we did last week. We learned how to do a few little things with direct distance entry, and how to put in absolute coordinates, and how to do polar coordinates, which is the ones with the angle and distance. Anyone remember the formula of how you put in a polar coordinate? What will be the sequence that you put in? So you issue a line command, you click somewhere to begin or whatever, and then what's that formula that I gave you? Has anyone written it down? Yes. Wherever. Okay, so that is the normal relative coordinates. Where you give an x and a y. What about when you're giving an angle and a distance? How would you do that? Sorry?
Greater than less than sign?
It's the less than sign thing, yeah. So you're going to go at again, and you're going to do the distance first, then you're going to put the angle symbol, which is the less than sign, and then you're putting the actual angle, which can be a positive or a negative angle. And what I discovered last week with some of you was that you're actually putting a negative number as well, and you got unpredictable results. You got the opposite. You put in a negative angle and a negative number, and ended up the other way around, which I suppose makes sense mathematically. 2 negatives make a positive. I don't know. But anyway, the fact is the distance when you're putting an angle in has to remain positive all the time. The angle is the one that tells us which direction the line is going to go, and obviously at the length that you specify. So that was a good exercise. All right. So looking down here, we've got object snaps to cover, polar tracking, object snap tracking. What else? All that can be move, copy, stretch. Okay, we're going to do all that in the floor plan. Really, again, as I said, these ones here are for further practice mainly. For you, if you bought at home and you want to do something, that's what you do. All right. Or you redo what we did in the classroom recording. All right, so fillet, offset, chamfer. Okay, chamfer. I think there's a spot there we could use chamfer for, but I'll cover that when we do fillet for sure. We're going to do some fillet. And we've got trim, extend, and array. We're going to definitely do a lot of trim and extend. We're not going to do any array as far as the exercise is concerned, but we I usually will just throw some of these ones that have got no place in as part of when we're doing the floor plan. I would say, oh, here, just draw a rectangle here. We'll do an array of that. So an array is basically a repeat of the same element. A bit like, for example, if you want to set up say a cinema with a number of chairs or rows and columns of chairs, and then you have an array which is a polar array, which is around a circle. So it'd be something like, for example, you've got a table and you want to, a round table, say, and you want to put some, 10 chairs around it. So you can have one chair, then array it around a full 360 circle, or you can array it half a circle, or however much you want to cover of that circle. So that's handy. If we, for some reason, don't cover it, remind me to cover it, but we'll be referring back to these all the time. Make sure we're ticking things off. Mirror command. Yes, we're going to do mirror. We'll probably do that. We're using the doors. We're going to put a door in the house. We want to flip it so it's the other way around. We'll mirror it. So the swing goes the other way, for example. We're going to rotate it. We're going to move it, copy it. So all those commands we're going to use to actually put some doors in, for example. I'm hoping to actually get you to actually draw your own window. I mean, I've given you some, but show you how to create what's called a block. So it's basically a component that you can then reuse for later on. And so we'll maybe create some, maybe 2 or 3 different windows that we can use. All right, so mirror set, inserting blocks, well, we'll be inserting it. It doesn't say to create them yet, but we can create some. And hatching, yes, we're going to cover hatching in a number of different ways. One is to, for example, put some tiling in our wet areas. Another will be to, another will be to put in some shading or some carpet, two-tone maybe, in the rooms for presentation purposes.
Does that include the variation circles around let's say in construction, what we're looking at? They sort of put the
like
half circles all the way around.
what we call clouds, or clouding, it's a revision cloud. No, doesn't include that. Revit has a nice little cloud. I think there might be one in here as well. I'll just double check that and check. Yeah. Revision clouds. First thing we want to know is how to revise it. Yes, of course. Well, we haven't done. Yeah, but there's always, I wouldn't say mistakes. There's always changes to plans. So you need to do that. So I can show you. If I haven't shown you, I will show you. Remind me.
We like clouding and sending it back to the architect.
Yeah. We're not allowed to say that on TV. We're not allowed to say that on TV. But anyway, that was French. But we're going to look at paper space and dimensioning. So after we do our floor plan, we're going to put it on what's called basically the sheet, and put a title block in it, and dimension it. So all this stuff down here, it will be done as part of a real floor plan. Yeah. All right, so rather than just an abstract sort of, but this is also handy to refer back to because I will go into the settings of it all, but it does go in depth for the settings as well, so you've got a reference if you want to go in and check what that is. Well, it's written down proper sort of step by step, but all right, that's good. So that's done. Yeah, all good. So we can go and do it. You can see there's an A3 here, and I've got when we go into that exercise, there will be another A3. So that exercise I'm talking about is intro to ACAD practices. What's this one? These ones are additional exercises, by the way. So they're just abstract stuff if you want to do. That's additional. Why did I pick the wrong one? It's the one that was in here. It's probably this one's the next one. So there's some additional ones like that. They're really complicated, for mainly geared up around mechanical engineering. Some of them. I know where they're all coming from. They're basically ripped out of a number of different booklets we have around TAFE for different disciplines and just put them together. They thought they were good exercises. So you can pick and choose as to what you like to do. This is not quite exactly, I wouldn't call this one an architectural. This is very, very basic if that's an architectural file. All right, so this is the actual thing that we're meant to be looking at. All right, so this is Intro to AutoCAD practice exercise. We've got a start file here, which you can download. We've got some blocks which can download, which is, as I said, they're components. AutoCAD terminology is blocks, that's what they call them. Other programs might call them parts, components, whatever. All right, so there's a PDF floor plan, and as I said, there's an A3 and an A4 title block we can choose to use. If I have a look at the example floor plan up first, it's, although very simple, it's a realistic, almost realistic one-bedroom unit. I say almost because this is a very architecturally personalized one, because I like to have a separate laundry, separate toilet, and separate bathroom, which you hardly find in a one-bedroom unit. I don't think they probably exist even. But and this is a huge entertainment area here. All right, but it does present a number of complexities, be it that it's just a square-looking thing. You do learn to do basically just about everything you need to know about how to draw a floor plan, whether big or small, but we're using a small one because we haven't got the time to do a big one. Right, so I think we can jump in here in a minute and start looking at that. Yeah, let's do that. I think that it's the best thing to do, and I think we're gonna once we start that, then we can digress at times and just go back and forth in the same floor plan. Just experiment with this, try that, and learn a few other things along the way. All right, so okay, I'll just pause here for a minute. All right, so we've got another over here. All right, so I'm going to download this practice exercise AutoCAD start file. See what we've got there. All right, so it does come down as an AutoCAD file. So I will grab that. Just where is it down there? Control X, and I'll just put it in. Not there. Not there. I'll put it in here. All right, so download that file, find a spot in your your OneDrive, and put it in there. Meanwhile, I'm searching to find where I'm going to put mine. Oops, wrong one. Where is it? The Intro to AutoCAD. Yeah, this is the wrong way around. All right. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to create a folder, perhaps drawings. I'm under this term 4, whatever we're teaching here, Intro to AutoCAD term 4. I'm going to create a folder called drawings, and I'm just going to I'm getting organized, a little more organized, and I'm just going to put in these files in here. So it's under drawings, and I'm just going to drop that out there from here. That should be out there. All right, so I'm going to create. I'm organizing it. It's in. I've got drawings, and I'm going to create another folder. I'm going to call this one here library, perhaps, or files. So it could be block, all the blocks we're going to get, all that stuff. So however you want to, you can call it blocks or call it components, library, whatever you want to call it. Eventually, we're going to download that and put it in there as well. So best not to have it all mixed in with your drawings, because, well, I was going to say unfortunately, could be fortunately, it's the same file extension as your drawing. So blocks have the .dwg file format, file extension. So they will be the same. So best not to mix them up together, because you might not be able to work out which is which. So apart from the fact that you shouldn't have your jobs in mixed up with your library. All right, so okay, so you downloaded the file. Where did we put it? Okay, did I put it anywhere? No, not yet. Maybe I think here it is. Practice start file. All right, so this one here, I'm going to. It is a version 2018, but that's fine. 2019 opens up the file as well, and vice versa. Which is interesting to. We'll open it up. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's just open that up. Just double click it. It should come up there. Oh, yes, that's right. All right, so this is the file that I've given you. Why did I give you one, you might ask? Because I've got some some things already set up in there, like the dimension styles are set up, hopefully not too badly, and some text styles and things like that. And we've got some layers as well in here, but we're going to make some more. All right, so it is a basically what I would call like an initial template file. However, template files normally don't have the extension of .twg. When you open up a template file, which is what we've done in the past to start the other drawing last week. If we went file new, for example, drawing, we said pick up the ACAD ISO.dwt file. You might not be able to see the DWT in your setup if you don't have file extensions set up, which you might not, but it is a DWT icon. So that stands for drawing template file. So all that does is if you open this one up and you go to save, or you don't have to open it, but I'm just saying if you open that up and you go to save, it will automatically come up with the save as dialog box, and you just give it another name. Unfortunately for us, it won't do that because this is already a drawing file. So if I press save, it will just save it. So I have to make sure I consciously press on the file save as if I want to maintain that file as is without changing it, because I want to use it in the future, let's just say. Plus, I really should call it a little bit something different than what this is. This is practice exercise start file 2018. Well, okay, it's a practice exercise, I get it, but I don't have to call it start file 2018, that's irrelevant. So probably what may be relevant here is that we call it something, for example, practice, put your, you can get used to putting in your name somewhere in there. I'll put it in the beginning for me. I'll put Andreas Vasiliou, and I'll say practice floor plan for my thing. So practice floor plan. Okay, done. So now I'll just press save, and it should go in the same folder that it was originally in. All right. The reason I didn't give you a DWT file is because it is a little bit difficult to open a DWT file that's not sitting where AutoCAD is expecting it to be sitting in. If I went file new, it goes to this folder here, template folder, which is hidden very deeply into the users Vasiliou app data, and this folder usually is a hidden folder, so you can't see it from the file explorer unless you've gone and changed your settings so you can see hidden folders. So to work out where to put it, it would take us another lesson. But it doesn't mean you can't browse and have it in a different spot as well. So anyhow, it will do for us for now. The result is exactly the same. All right, firstly, and this is apologies on my behalf for creating this thing here. I am not actually a very good CAD manager or developer here. I should have envisaged that you're going to not start dimensioning and left you in a layer that you're going to start using which is more than likely, for example, here, other wall studs or a wall brick layer. Right, so, okay, so basically what we've got here, once you renamed it, we've got a number of layers we can explore. And I'm sitting in the Home tab here, and about the middle, there's the layers. If you click down there, you can see all the layers that are already in there. And yeah, so we've got some layers. Some have some sort of a hierarchy, some haven't. You can see some hierarchy happening in the wall layers. We've got a wall brick and a wall studs. If your wall is made out of steel, perhaps maybe wall steel, wall timber. If you want to differentiate a bit more, it doesn't matter what you call them as long as it makes sense as to what that entity is. Any questions so far? So they're the layers. They're already created. So to make one what's called current, so you can start using it, we just click on the name, say wall brick, on the actual name. You do not click on any of the others. Right, so if we click on the first one or the second one, it will turn that layer off, and you may or may not be able to draw in it, even though it's off. You can sometimes, well, you can always, if it's off, you can still draw in it, just so you can't see what you're drawing. So you turn it back on, and there's those lines everywhere, because you just kept trying and trying to see what's going on, and the thing was off. So do not touch the first four actually. Well, not too much harm will happen if you went into the color palette, because that just comes up, but the others are not that good. Yeah, don't use them. So yeah, go to the wall brick. I'm anticipating we might start off with wall brick. Let's have a look. All right. Firstly, I'm going to go back here and just make sure I've got that up as a reference. There are some black dimensions, some red dimensions. Mainly the red dimensions are your wall openings for your windows and your doors. And there's a few others inside that are sort of just reinforcing. Well, with the joinery we didn't have anything, so we'll put some in. But for this one here, for example, the width of that wall, you can derive that from these two numbers anyway, but I'll just put that in. All right, so let's have a look. All right, so I have to just, because you guys have got the second monitor, you can put that on the other side and watch it all the time. I have to keep flicking back and forth to check the dimensions. Regardless if I printed it off, I like to flick back and forth so you can see it, see what I'm talking about as well on the screen. So, well, where do we begin with this? You know, like we've made a big deal about where we began from last week. Where do we begin with this one? Now you can see this is black and white, or just black ink with a bit of red on it. But generally, technical floor plans are just in black ink. This one's got a bit of color in it. But there was a whole lot of colors when it came to the layers. They had colors in them. So what we tend to do in AutoCAD is to draw in different colors, basically grouping things that are the same in one color, or more precisely in one layer. All right. Now the layer name that we just made current before, ready to use is a wall dash brick. So we're anticipating to draw a whole lot of lines, and because we've got that layer current, they will automatically go into that layer. That layer also happens to have a color associated with it, which is red. So I'm expecting to see some red lines come up when I start drawing. All right. Now, if I then decide later on that, you know, red is not the thing I want to look at, I can go and change the color of the layer, and immediately my 200 lines that I put in will change color without me doing anything, just change the color of the layer. So it is a principle that is used by probably a number of programs out there. So if you guys have used something else in the past, it's a similar principle. So anyway, that's the idea. Now, I've said that before because I want to show you this one over here. That's red. That's red. All right. Now that's the layer color is red. It says by layer there, and it shows red. Okay. Now you're not to go and touch this ever. All right. You don't go there. So I'm showing you where it is. It's a no-go zone, basically. Very seldom you have to go there, and there may be a situation that you might have to do something unusual for just one line, maybe two, but no more. So there shouldn't be a reason why you should go in there and change something to a different color, or to go and change some things line weight to a different line weight as to what is already set in the main layer. If I have a look at this button here, see this button here, layer properties. If I click that, this pops up, and we can see more information about the layers. Whereas before we could only see those first three, the colors, and that's it, and the name when we had that drop down, right? In this dialog box here, we can see a bit more. So here we can see that some layers have a line weight attached to it. This one has a dash dot line type attached to it, not a continuous one. And this one here is a roof outline. So it's this line here, so it is a dash dot. So we gave it that. Now, for example, you are drawing your roof line here in the roof outline layer, and everything's coming out dash dot. And for some reason, this line here, you want it to be continuous. You have two options. One is to highlight that line, just click on it, and go in here and change the line type in here to be continuous, forcing it to disobey the layer it's laying in and become something else. All right. There may be a situation like that. Typically, that situation is, in a commercial situation, is when you're doing a ceiling plan, perhaps, and there you want to show ceiling plan. You want to show a bulkhead above or something. You just it's just one line, and you just want to just change that to be dashed or something. You just click that and change it. But more, if you have a few bulkheads around, you just create a new layer, ceiling bulkhead or something like that. Anyway, so that now, is there anything wrong with doing that? The answer is no. The drawing will come out fine. It's no problem. Would there be ever any problem with that? Yes, when you have more than one or two lines, and it is introducing possibly some human error into it. If, for example, you were working with a few people, even yourself, down the track, you've changed that line type or color or whatever you changed, so it's not by layer anymore. You decided to do some global changes to the rest of the layer, and you forgot that that line type is forced to be something else. Now, that could be good because you want it to be like that all the time, which is fine. But if you wanted to then also do some adjustments, so you have to remember that that particular line, you have to go back and do something to it. Now, it is a bad thing to do that for many lines, say 100 lines, because if I decided, say I forced the color to be something else, and I really want it to go back to, say I forced it to be green, all right? So I'm drawing, that says red, and I'm drawing lines, but they're coming out green, all right? Or whatever that color is. All right, so for me to then, if I decide now to change that to be some other color, I have to pick each one of these, and this is easy here now because I can just go like that and get it. But imagine being a floor plan, and you got things, it's complicated. You got dimensions, you got doors, you got windows, you got sinks, right? And try and pick all the ones that are supposed to be changing. You'll be there forever picking each one. It's almost impossible. Yeah. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to just stick to it by layer. So that's why I say you should never visit this. So it's very tempting, and it's there, and it looks the same as this almost, but do not go there. All right, we'll talk about that as finding more examples if we need to go there ever. All right, now stick to this side, don't go to that side. Now you can also stuff things up through here. This properties. Now, who hasn't got their properties up yet? Properties is Control 1, Control key down, press number 1, or you can go to View, and you go to Properties, this one here, all right, and that's on. See, it's off, it's on. Now, mine is docked. I'm not sure about yours, but it's handy to have there. If it comes out like this or sitting up here, sort of like that, you can just grab it, hold it, drag it until you get an outline. So you see how I got that outline? It's unfortunate because the outline is where my crosshair is as well. So let me just move that there. So you get the outline there, about there. See that popping up? Once you see that outline, just drop it and it docks it. Right? Handy to dock it because it's not sitting on top of your command line here. Otherwise, it'll just be hiding what you're trying to when you're writing or reading information here. All right. So try to dock it if you can. We've got it up here because we might need to use it. Now be careful. As I was trying to say before, if I go to Home tab again, these things here, well, there you, this one here is the same as that one up there, so you don't touch it. Line type again, you don't touch, and line weight. So this one here, the first, the third, and the fifth are the same as this three here. All right. All right, we'll have some real examples of how we'll do that. Okay, so now I'm going to just make sure all these things down here are set up. Everybody should be similar to mine by now. What I'm going to do is turn off this grid, so I have a clearer screen, and that's F7, or just click the thing in the this icon here, which is in the status bar down bottom there. All right, then we'll go along and see what else I've got on here. Make sure, I mean, I've got constraints, in-fact constraints showing, but they're not active. They're not a blue background. So make sure they're not on, never on, in fact. And in fact, if you want to, I mean, you could make sure it's not on and then just turn it off so you can't even see it there. So you have no ability of clicking on it. However, I'm not sure if there's a shortcut, which doesn't show there, where somehow people will turn it on, and we end up basically ruining the drawing. Because inferred constraints is great for mechanical stuff if you want to use it. And I'll show you quickly what that does. Or actually, this one I think just puts them in automatically, and that's a problem. But inferred constraints might be a line here and a line here, and there is the whole thing here called parametric. I'm showing you the things that you should be doing basically now. So then we've got coincident. I think it's that one there. No, this one here, perpendicular. So I click this one here, for example, and it says here, reading, select first object, this one, and then select the second object, this one. So see, it's made that one, and it's put those little things there, see those things? It says that one is 90 degrees to the other one, right? Which is great, because sometimes you want to have that association between entities if you're in that room, say mechanical, I mean as in product design or something like that. So if I click on this one here and I go rotate that, so I'm rotating that one, and in theory that one, the other one will always remain perpendicular to that. And all of a sudden now I've got the relationship that I can't rotate this one independently to that one. You know, so if you turn this guy on, it will just guess what you're trying to do, and it will just put these little icons everywhere, and then basically can't get rid of them easily. All right, so you can delete the constraints. I think somehow we can turn them off or something. Click on here. I'm not. This basically came straight out of a program called Inventor. I think even though I got rid of it, this still is maybe, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Still a thing. I don't know. Forget about it. Okay, just get rid of it. This came straight out of a program called Inventor. All right, which is a 3D thing, just geared up for mechanical engineering. But because they own both programs, they just threw it in 1 year, saying here's an upgrade to AutoCAD. Probably nobody wants it. All right, so anyway, that's there. So yeah, just don't have that on. All right, so here we go. All right, back home, we've got wall brick, and then we're going to look at this drawing here and try and work out how we're going to draw this up, basically. How do we begin? All right, we don't begin with the roof. I don't think we need to begin with the roof. We'll begin with the bricks. How do we do it? Have we got all the measurements? Where is the best place to begin? Now we have the design in front of us, and fortunately that we have the sizes of every room. Now they're not written inside the room, but you can look at the dimensions, and this is part of reading and interpreting plans, I suppose. That if you can read the dimension, work out which one belongs to which. This room is 3,520 in the width of this one here. And reading over here, read the other way, 3,150. So we've got the size of the internal of the room. And you can work anywhere you like. We are fortunate that we actually have the external widths of this as well. So we can actually basically replicate that by just drawing the overalls and possibly offsetting inside, basically, which is an offset is a parallel copy of a line. All right, so we could do that, and that would be the easiest way for us, drawing the outline and then working your way in, depending what information you got. If you don't have that overall, then you can't. And if you look at some, well, a lot of the plans you get either from real estate agents or from spec home builders are, have the internal sizes, and then you then get pretty raw stuff. You have to sort of wait. You have to draw the internal of the room, and then as you can see here, the width of your wall is 240 here in this situation, and I'll break it down a bit more later. So then you have to draw that internal wall, then offset out to work out what the outside of your wall is plus 240 basically. We have our training wheels on here, so we're going to just go with the easiest way at this point and learning the basics. All right, so we're going to use this plan and basically replicate it. All right, so let's go with that. Now, we don't really have we'll have an angular spot here. There's one that's on an angle there as well, which is good. We don't have. It doesn't tell us where to begin from though. Unlike that first drawing, it says go from 79, whatever it was. It doesn't have that. So, are we to worry about that? Not really. No, we're not to worry about that because just basically everyone starts from wherever. Unless you're a surveyor, yeah, just start wherever. All right, so we'll start from anywhere. All right, so basically I'm going to begin from that corner there. I like to begin usually from the left-hand side, and I'll work my way around clockwise. But it doesn't matter. You can start from there and go anti-clockwise. It doesn't matter. You've got all the dimensions. You should have all the dimensions to build this. So all the dimensions should be there for us to draw it in theory. Unless I missed one. All right, so let's go. Which is possible. You're lucky this is probably the third go of this, so it's been developed a little bit extra. So Yeah, so actually the second go. So let's go. All right, so let's go with it. I'm going to begin from that corner there, and then I'm going to go up. I'm reading from the outside here. So the way the dimensions are, and when you get to dimensioning, I'll explain more the way they work, and they're a little difficult to read. Basically, these red ones, as I said, they're the openings. But then the next ones are the way they work is from the middle of the room outwards. Now, it's such a simple little house here that we don't, or here is the only place we have more than two lines of dimensions. Because the overalls are always on the outside. Here we're working our way through to, well, the first one to look at is the most inner bit, halfway, looking at this. All right, so that bit, this room here has been picked up down here. So this is referring to the toilet, 1500. Then we're moving back to the laundry. That's 3430. Very generous for a laundry. Um, and then it's the overall. All right, so here is the overalls, 800, sorry, 800. Yeah, so 8 meters, 800. So we're going to begin now. Good question. What do we begin with? Do we begin with line or do we begin with the polyline command? And what is a polyline command? So far we've been.
What are you going to finish up with? At the moment, you're saying it's brick wall, so we're putting bricks in only and leaving an opening for the windows? Or? No.
What we're going to do, we are going to draw it as a solid all the way around, right. And then we're going to go through and knock some holes in it afterwards. Right. Yeah. So we're going to draw it as solid, and we're going to. Now we've been doing lines, and they're individual segments of lines which can erase separately. Now let me show you what line does, and let me show you what polyline does first, okay? And then we can possibly decide. All right, let's go. So if you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you. So if I drew a line that, now, basically from now on, we're going to have our ortho on all the time. So I'm going to click this icon here, so I can go straight up. So if I click there, I'm going to go, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to, I don't want to type it in yet. I'm just going to do something. All right, so was that a line command? Yes. So they're separate lines, right? So I'll draw another thing over here using the polyline. Yeah, we could turn it into a nice lesson, or we could make our life easy. So let's have a look. Now I want to create that wall that I told you about. Imagine that's your part of your exterior. That wall is 240, we said, but that's broken down by 110 width of a brick, and then there's a 40 millimeter cavity, and there's 90 millimeter stud wall. So that's equal to 240 overall. We just don't tend to individually dimension that wall. Everyone knows a 240 wall, that's what it is, you know. That's how it's broken down. So, but for us to draw it to look like that, we have to actually know the numbers, all right? So the numbers are 110. So I'm going to offset this. I'm going to go offset, which we haven't done yet, but we're going to do a lot of in a minute. I'm going to offset, I'm going to go 110. A number of ways of doing it. So I'm going to go 110. You can see I have to zoom right in because it's very long wall, so I didn't put in a number. Okay, there we go. So 110. Zooming in, we've got to clean that up. So we have to use another command called fillet. Clean that up. Let's do that at every corner. Look what happens when you've got a polyline. Offset 110. Oops. Offset 110. See what happens there? It's nice and clean. It's a polyline. So that helps us. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to do any trimming, filleting if we don't do that. It's just going to help us initially to get there quicker, because a lot of work is mainly on the outside wall. It's got four lines, 2 leaves, and at every corner there's 3 things to trim. There's not many corners here. There's a few corners, but not as many as a real house. All right, so it's a good technique is to begin. So we're going with technique as well, not just learning the commands. Good technique, if you know the overall of your house already, like we know here, to use a polyline, then offset in And then after that, it's going to come a time where you can't offset it anymore. If I was going to create the laundry, which I said was say it was 2 meters wide, I go offset 2 meters, 2000 saying, I go this. Well, it's offsetting everything all around, like I just want one line, just want to get the depth of it, and that's it. So at that point is when you decide, that's it, I'm done with polylines. You explode it, and it'll become separate lines. By that time, you've got all your corners all nice and neat, and you don't care after that. And then you're able to, so that in this case, I would have gone explode here and go, just erase that, offset 2000, I said. And there you go. I get just 2000 coming down, not all the way around concentrically. All right. So we're going to do that with a real. So now we're looking at that. We are deciding we're going to go with a polyline to start with. All right. So I'll erase that, and we'll begin together now, having the ortho on F8. So make sure it's got a blue background. So you locked into horizontal and vertical for now. All right, so begin anywhere. So what we're going to do is draw a line, polyline, sorry, the second one in. And we're going to click here and we're going to go up. All right, pointing up, direct distance entry. I can see all my angles and all that happening in front of me. That's because I've got the dynamic input on as well. Okay, so that should be turned on so you can see everything happening in front of you. So we'll go 8800, enter. So you can see that's how small our house is. So I'll just now, if we have a bit of a revision, I just put my crosshair around about where I want to zoom in, and then I click the middle mouse button down and just center it a bit more, so we get a better feel of the space we're in, rather than a big paddock and the house is so small in the middle. All right, so the next number is 10,000, so just type in 10,000, enter. Conveniently more 10,000 down. Yeah, 8 was the first one, but please bring up your own floor plan next to you so you can see it, in case you fall behind or whatever, or in case more likely you're going ahead of me. 6480 is the next one. And 1200 will go up. So it won't show up. If you type it in, it went up, it's there. You just have to double check it after. But just keep going around. Yeah. Now, if you make a mistake or whatever, or you think you made a mistake, you can stop the command. But if you haven't stopped, you can go around. You can just press close and just close it, or you can just go to the endpoint of that. Now, your endpoint should be coming up. If you've got the object snaps on, it should be coming up. If it doesn't come up, don't go there. Okay. You have to make sure it comes up. Okay, so I'm going to just finish mine off. We had some problems around the room, so we're just going to finish that off there, and that's it. So now what we're going to do is basically what I've got here is just a whole lot of lines that are all in one bunch together. So that's a polyline. All right. So what we're going to do is what we're going to do is check that we've got the right measurements. If you're not sure, just check a couple measurements. I'm just going to show you a way of checking. Then I'm going to show you, if you've started and stopped, how to join it all back together as well, because some of you might have just done a bit of it here and then started again, and then it's two pieces rather than one piece. So let's have a look. Just to measure, there's this one here under the utilities, under the home tab. You can expand it out and have a look what's there. There's different things you can measure, but distance is what we want. So you can just come up and it'll gravitate to the end point there, and then go up to this point here, and then it leaves information there for you to read. If you want to do another one, you click the distance again and just begin there and go to there. Tells you what it is, so that's all good. All right, so suppose I'm just going to simulate something here. Suppose I did, oops, I'll leave that there. Suppose I did that much and then I dropped out and I started again, and maybe I even started with the line command next rather than the polyline command, who knows. And I went here and I put in 6480. So the way I started again, of course, is using the command, one of the two, and going up to here and just going to the end point of that. And then go 6480. And then I've already got that there, so I'm just going to go up there. So now I've got a few pieces. I've got one piece there, I've got one there, and if I go on this one here, see the difference? That's a polyline. That's a line. That's a polyline. What's the difference? It's got a flat one in the middle. Yeah, so that's a polyline. And that's a line as well. So the polylines have this flat bit in the middle. All right, so what do we do? How do we join it up to be one thing? Yeah. All right, so what you do is there is a command called join, or you can type in J, enter. Now the join command is hidden. That's why I just type J, it's much easier. It's behind this modify thing here. If you click modify, it's that one there. It's in the middle of the bottom row. So that's the join command. So if I click join, now I click join, so I don't have to press enter. The golden rules of AutoCAD are, if you're typing something in, like we did with the numbers before, you got to press enter. Type a number, enter. That's all we did, get the lines. If you're typing a command in, J, you press enter. If you click in the command like I did, you don't do enter, because I haven't typed it in. Okay, so I just clicked it. Now it's asking me, always read down here. 50% of the problem of learning AutoCAD is we're not reading what it's asking us to do. So let's have a look. Select source object or multiple objects to join at once. So, although sometimes it's very cryptic, it wants me to select something. So I'm going to select this one. Hold on. I'll select this one here. That's a line, right? The other one was a polyline. It doesn't care. Select this one. Now, the rule is that they've got to be touching end to end. They don't have to be a closed loop, but they've got to be touching. You can't have a gap. You can't join it otherwise, right? There's a command called group. You can group things that are not touching each other. They're separate. You can make them into one group. But the join command just joins things that are, and really lines or arcs, things like that. Obviously, it's a closed circle. You can't join it to anything because it hasn't got an end to it. All right, so yeah, so you can select one by one, or you can just do a window. At the end of the day, even if I had some other lines in here, random lines, it wasn't gonna. It's just gonna ignore those. So for example, if I had a line sitting in here, and I went J for join, and I'm typing it in now, and I'm pressing enter. How am I pressing enter? Well, there's the enter button on the keyboard, and there's the enter. Enter is also the right mouse button. That's a little complex. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends how it's set up. Sometimes it will just enter. Sometimes it will come up with a little menu. It depends how fast you press it. I think it's got by default a quarter of a second or faster. If you hold on to the little, if you're slower, then it will come up with a menu. If you're really fast, it will just go enter. So I was obviously fast there, so it just came up. So I did J, press the right mouse button, and then I do a window, for example. Before I selected each one, now I'm doing a window. And notice you've got this one here too. That's fine. Go enter, finish selecting. See how it's just joined that up. The other one wasn't touching anything, so I just left it there. All right. All right. Now enter is also the enter button, of course, on the keyboard, but it's also the space bar on the keyboard. All right. It's always an enter, except for when you're typing notes. It comes space bar again. All right. So remember that one. And yeah, it's handy to use your thumb for a space bar for an enter if you're typing things in, because you don't have to take your hand off the mouse on the other side. Or you can travel across to the enter on the other side of the keyboard if you want, whatever. Okay, easy. I'll get rid of this now. So that's how you can join. Those of you that have lines separated, that's how you join them. All right. And how do you unjoin them? Yes. So you highlight it. You can do it other way. You can press the X, enter, and then select it. This is the difference. This is a good example of what to work out a way of working, like a method of how you're gonna use AutoCAD or enter commands in. There's two ways generally, and up until recently, there was probably only one or two commands left that you weren't allowed to do this. But you can do what's called a pre-select, then issue the command. Whereas traditionally AutoCAD historically came from that you had to issue the command first and then select the object. That presented some other issues. All right, the issues are these. Right, if I click on this one here, and I go X, wherever X is here, enter, it exploded it. Now you don't want to see it all exploding in pieces all over the screen, do you? It just leaves it there, of course, but it's just separate lines now. All right, so it doesn't pull it apart in any way. So if I undo, right, Control Z just then, Control Z, undo, or you can use the undo here. Control Z is a global Windows shortcut, and it works here too. So now it's back to how it was. Now, as I was saying before, I selected it, I pressed X, enter, done. Now if I went X first, enter, and I select this, yes, but hasn't done anything. It's still got this little square thing, which means select, and it's telling me there on the screen, select object, but I did, so I'll do it again. But I did, it says, oh, duplicate found, yes, I clicked it twice. How do you get out of that now? Now, it didn't ask me those questions before. When I pre-selected it, and I went next, it just did it, and I was happy with that. Now, I got issues, because I have to decide now when I finish selecting objects. It doesn't know that I want to explode just one thing, or I could have 10 things to explode. So it says, okay, you're doing an explode, just go select what you want to do and let me know when you're finished. All right. Whereas when you pre-select, it already knows, it knows that you've done your homework beforehand. This guy has decided to select some things, and now he decided to press the X command, or decided to press the copy command, whatever. But it knows that I've done my homework beforehand. Now it doesn't know, can't read my mind that I'm thinking one. It doesn't even know there's no other things on there for me to select. So it'll be going like that forever until I press enter. So when you issue the command first, and the command requires you to select something, whether it's a copy, the move, the mirror, the rotate command, the explode command, they all require for you to select something. So if that's the case, then you have to press enter to tell it that you finish selecting. Just like when you're typing a number in, a distance, you've got to press enter to tell it to finish typing the number in. It's the same thing. So so if I press enter now, yeah, it's done. You finish the command. Finished. If it was a copy command that I issued, and I pressed enter after I selected stuff, it will then ask me, okay, where do you want to pick it up from? Where do you want to put it? and we keep stamping away number of copies of that. All right, so every command has a different lifespan. You know, like the array has got a very short lifespan. So does the explode, because it doesn't ask any questions. You just select the thing, go X for explode, does it. You select the thing, go E for arrays, done, finished. But the copy command or the move command, they ask you more questions after that. Okay, where do you want to put it? You know, so they'll have different lengths or lifespan. Right. Okay, that's the anatomy of the commands. All right, now. All right, so we're doing well. It's almost 7:30, and you want to have a break. So we've done this bit here. Now this is all unjoined, so I'm going to join it. J for join, just hit again, and enter. All right. So basically, we should all have that. All right. I'd like to leave it there. Have a 10-minute stretch. Yes, you got a question? Sorry, go. Yep. When we have a break, can I help you? Of course I can help you. Let me just turn this thing off and then I'll say, no, I'm having a break as well. No. So, all right, no, that's all right. I can help you. No, that's fine. So, yeah, when we come back, we're going to teach you how to do the offset command, like I did before very quickly. Yeah, to create those walls. Yeah, so go have a break and we'll chat soon. Let's begin. So, yeah, okay, we did find the revision cloud command that you asked of before. We're going to do the offset command, but I can show you that now because we'll probably forget later, so let's do it. There is a command called revision cloud, so REV. If you once you start typing it, it comes up, so you can see rev cloud coming up. You click it, and the way you set it up is by setting up the arc length first. So give it an arc length. You click on that, and you just sort of guess, you know, like I want it to be about. So, yeah, sure. You got that much, say, you know, give it an amount, and then it asks you for the maximum length arc. I'll just enter that, whatever. It's the same as what I clicked, I think. And then I go. There's a number of options here. You could have an object, I suppose. You could have a circle, and you just click on that and just turns that into a cloud. But if you've got freehand, is more than likely the way you're going to use it. Freehand, and you just start going around like this. I'm not clicking. I'm just moving around this thing with my mouse. And then once I come to here, it just finds the other end automatically, and just I haven't only clicked once, and then just finished itself. Right? Rev cloud. One command. Have a go. So we've done our little revision cloud. I'm sure it's on the Express Tools panel somewhere. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. Rev cloud is what it is. Now, someone said to me, you could probably use that for landscape architecture. So true. I never thought of it. So you could quickly draw some indication of where your bushes are going to go, or even a tree. Canopy, that's the word I was looking for. You can show that, you know. So, but what is this though? What have we just drawn? What have we just drawn? If we click on it, and we have a look at our properties, and that's another reason I've got my properties here, so I can check things. It says that it's actually a polyline. It's actually a polyline. Very quick way of doing curvy polylines. All right, so it is a normal entity at the end of the day that we can use it for whatever we want it to be. So yeah, you can use it for landscape. There you go. I never thought of it before, but I have just highlighted that, and I went over here. But look at all the other information it's giving me about this. It's telling me the length of it, and it's giving me the area in square millimeters. All right, because it's working in millimeters. So you just have to go back 3 numbers, probably there to there. It's about 183 square meters. Yeah, that's what the area is covering. Yeah, so it's good. If I escape that, this is a polyline too, isn't it? So now we have the square meterage of our house. It's 95.7 square meters already. Right, so and it's got a perimeter length of 40 meters. Yeah. All right.
Brick estimation.
So you get your brick estimation, yes. Right. So very quick, how you could use these lines, right? So as I said, we'll probably explode it maybe later, but sorry.
Good for takeoff.
Yeah, good for takeoff. But you can, if you're thinking down the track though, of using it for getting areas, you may actually not explode it, or before you explode it, you might make a copy of it, put it in a different layer called areas, and just freeze that or turn it off until you want to do your takeoff. Turn everything else, put your areas on, have a look. Okay, quick takeoffs, and we do that with rooms as well sometimes. If you want to get the area of a room, you do it that way. There's another command. Well, it's a command we covered already. If I go here, measure. If I wanted to get the overall width of this house and the overall depth of it or height, if I click on one corner, well, I could do it this way. I could go like this and like that. That's 10 meters, all right? Then I could do another one that goes from, oops, oh goodness me, another one that goes from there to there. That's another 10 meters. So I've got the whole area, length of it. So if I another way of doing it is, and this works for rooms as well. If you want to know a quick size of a room, the width and the depth, you can do a diagonal measure. So you can go from there to there, right? Now it's giving me that hypotenuse there, which is 14 meters, which I'm not interested in. But what I'm interested in is this overalls here. It's 10 by 10. So it's giving me the X and the Y by going diagonally. So it's quicker for you to get that outcome rather than having to measure twice. All right. So that's how you can use. That's another technique I suppose you can use with the distance command. All right, I'm going to erase this here. So I'll just click it and press the delete key on the keyboard. All right. All right. So now let's get into this. Offset is one probably very widely used in CAD. So best to get this one down pat right away. It's one of those commands that you might make mistakes in. You might think you're offsetting 110, but it might be 111, right? And they never pick it, right? So it's all right if it was a lot more, but if it's 111, you're never going to pick it, all right? So you got to get this right. Now there is a method that we can stick to, and it will always work, all right? All right, I'm going to go with a pre-selection on method because actually this is one of the last or second to last commands to not to be brought across to the pre-selection method. Up until a couple of years ago, I could not do it the way I'm going to teach you now. I had to issue the command first, then pick the entity. Now it seems to work. All right, so if I go pre-select and then I hit the offset command. All right, now the next thing it says, so you've got to read here now. Specify offset distance. All right. So we don't go clicking. All right. The first thing we do. Yeah. All right. So this one up here. All right. Yeah. So I pre-select. I go here, and I type in a number straight after. I don't go clicking anywhere. All right. Pre-select. Issue the command. Put a number in. That number is 110 for 110 width of a wall. And then we press enter, of course, as we type something in. All right, so now, immediately when I do the number and I put the number in and press enter, I'm beginning to see, I mean, you can see the number anyway, but if you didn't do it this way, you would get to put something in sometimes without seeing the number, and that offset is wrong. So don't go clicking around. So
That's the bricks.
that's the bricks, only bricks, yeah. Oh, it's 110 out of the 240 so far. So only putting the bricks. So now you just got to decide if you've got to where to place it. It's asking you that. It's saying there, specify point on side to offset. So obviously I want to go inwards. I don't want to go to the left. I want to go to the right. So it goes inside the house. So where do I click? Do I click just there where it's saying it should be? Or do I click over here? You know, where do I click? The idea is it's actually asking you to point. It's not asking you to point how far 110 is, because he already knows that. It's already fixed, he knows. It's just telling you which side. So I just go in quite liberally in a fair bit of this. I just have to tell it which side. And I just prefer to go in far enough so there's no confusion. If I'm close enough to here, especially if I'm zoomed out, it may just be on the cusp and go on the other side. If you click it on top of that line, it'll sometimes decide, you might get it right, you might get it wrong. 50-50 chance which way it goes. Yeah, so anyway, have a go at that. Okay, everyone did that very successfully, which is great. But how successful is another story. We're going to measure now and see if it's correct. All right, you've done it? It's correct? All right, so I'm going to escape out of the command now so I can get the measure command. So basically, I'm just going to go from the midpoint of there to the midpoint of across the road or something like that. Now, I've got the midpoint, but some of you might not. Now, that's because AutoCAD doesn't come with a midpoint automatically available when you have your object snaps active. So you got to make sure if you go down here on the down arrow that you have the midpoint turned on there or activated. All right. So you can. It is something we use a lot. So I don't know why AutoCAD doesn't give it to you by default, but that's my setting there. The other setting while you're there that you might want to add to it is the perpendicular, this one here. See if we can work with that for a bit. I mean, we just periodically come in and revise those and turn them on and off depending on what we're going to be doing a lot of at the time. But generally they're okay. I mean, quadrant, I don't do a lot of circles really. I could do without quadrant, you know. I wouldn't miss it if I turned it off, for example. You can't tell. I wouldn't miss it if I turned off the center, for example. I'm not doing hardly any circles in here, so I can turn that off. So we want the endpoint, midpoint, intersection, extension, and perpendicular. And I think we probably could survive quite well with those. Right. Unlike Revit, which has all of them on all the time. AutoCAD tends to get confused very easily, so we've never ever used it with all of them on. All right, so let's go with that. All right, so now I'm going to measure. So I'm going to measure. I'll just pick one. It doesn't matter, any line, and just go measure. And I'm going to go from the midpoint to the midpoint across the road, which should be the same thing as perpendicular. Which perpendicular means straight across.
Even if you go on an angle and click on it.
Oh yeah, it'll tell you. Yeah, even if you've got an angle, it should tell you. If you go here to there, it should tell me still. If I move away from there, that is 110 along there. Yes, absolutely correct. So it doesn't matter where you go. Yeah, good point. All right, so everyone should have 110 there. All right, so we're going to continue and do the 40 now. Now, let's go offset 40. Now, some of you have gone ahead and done this and finished, which I'm going to then continue with that idea. And then I'll show you some other tricks with the offset command later. Okay, so let's do it this way now. Because we need to learn this as well. What if you put something in the wrong layer? All right. So with the offset command now, I highlight this and I go offset, this one here, or I can type in O, enter. All right. And I want to put in 40 this time. All right. So I don't have to click down here to type in the 40. I just type in the 40. All right. It goes down there by itself. Actually, because we've got the dynamic input on, it will go where your crosshair is. Just at the top there, you can see 40s in there. All right. So if I go enter, all right, because I highlighted that one, it automatically is working off that one. So again, I'm going to go, now you're going to have to zoom in here. 40 is not a big number, and it's a big house, so you're going to have to zoom into one corner so you can see where it's going, see, this way, all right? So just click to the side you want to go. Now notice, now this thing here is actually the beginning of our timber frame. So really that should be in a different layer. Yeah, but that's all right, we don't worry about it now. Now, no, we don't change color, that's what we said.
Change it, okay, so it goes into a different layer.
Yes, correct.
So how do you copy that into a different layer?
That's what we're going to learn. Yes, that's why we're making this, doing this, so we can learn. Yes. So I'll show you that in a minute. But so you've got two options now. Do you continue and do the other leaf as well? Then you have two entities to put in the right layer. Or if you remember early enough, you should stop now, fix this up, because as you can see, what's happening when you do an offset command, it just basically copies what's there from before, and if that's in the red layer, it stays in there by default. You can change it though. Or you can change it so it goes into a different layer, or you can modify it after you put it in, like now. So let's just escape here now, and we're going to highlight this. Right, that's the one that's in the wrong layer, and we're going to put in the right layer. So here's the layer then. Now, by the way, I have another lot of layers up here, and I've turned those on. They're in my quick access bar. I've turned those on by ticking that on. So if you want to have that up there, you can. That's what I've put in. To be honest, I only just learned that recently, probably this semester. I didn't know it was there all this time. But I think it's quite handy. Not for this, it's handy for other times down the track. Because that when that menu is not there, you have to always keep coming back to this menu to find that. And sometimes that menu is not there. If you pick on a hatch, for example, it will present you with a hatch editing menu that hasn't got any layer in there. So yeah, that's handy to have. Anyway, I highlighted this. All I have to do is change it here. Click there and then just select the wall studs layer, not the color, the name. All right, click on the name. Yeah. Of course, you can click it from your properties as well. You can go there and find it as well. That's handy. And there's no way you can make a mistake there because it only gives you names. It's not possible for you to then turn anything off, freeze, lock, or change color. Right? So that's another way of doing it. And if I escape, you can see that that's a green color in my case. Well, yours should be the same because now there's nothing stopping you. If you don't like those colors, you can go in and change those colors to work with your eyesight. Especially if you're colorblind. What colors do colorblind people can't see? Red and green. Oh, those ones. There you go. So you then
They look the same.
they look the same. Yeah. So you can go in and change them to be whatever you want them to be. All right. Yes. All right. All right. So if I now I'm going to offset this again. So if I highlight this, offset this 90 because that's the start width. And I'm going to type in O for offset this time just to mix it up a bit, and then press enter. And again, I'm going to put in the number 90, enter, and just comes in the right color, which is perfect. So there we are. So just escape now. We've got our outline all set up. Give it a save. Give yourself a pat in the back. You've done well. That's great. So you should all have something that looks like that. All right. I've got this thing called line weight here in my status bar. So let's press that on. Let's see what happens there. Showing the line weight. So showing me that when I print this out, the bricks are going to come out in a thicker line work and stuff. And if you haven't got that there and you want to turn it on, you go to the three settings lines there on the bottom right, and it's called line weight, and it's sitting about there, about a third of the way down. And you just turn it on like this, it shows you that. So if I zoom in, it looks like this. If I zoom out, it looks terrible, but it's not an accurate representation, but it gives you an idea of which are the thicker lines when you print it out. Right. You okay? Do you want to handle that, anyone? Find that? It's not imperative, I'm just showing you. Huh? At the end of the day, whether you got that line weight on or not, when you print it out, it'll come out right. When you print it out, it just reads the information you put in here for that layer, 0.35, for example. 0.18 is for the roof outline, all right? So it will come out. Now, of course, when we print it out, there's an indexing system which says, okay, whenever I see red, I'll show printed black. Whenever I see any color, in fact, I'll just print it black. And just, that's how it comes out in black. Anyone has a question? No? No, okay. Easy. Okay, so let's go over here. And now we can begin to set out our walls. All right. So we want to, now, how are we going to do that? There's a couple of ways of doing this. There's, and I'll show you a couple of different ways, or different techniques, I suppose, and you can, there's no right or wrong. One can be messier than the other. One can be easy. You know, it depends on the situation. Okay, for example, looking at this, there's a wall down here. Well, that's easy to do. I could probably, I know that wall is in the corner there, so I could just probably draw a line straight up from here to the other end, offset at 90, and there we are. So we could do that by just drawing. We've got a position for that already, quite luckily in this instance. So you could just draw something because you know the location is there. So let's do that. That's the easy one. Now, if I start drawing now, I'm going to draw it in wall brick. So I need to change my layer to be, and I might do it from this way now, over here. Change it over here, however you want to change it. So it is the wall studs. So immediately it's showing me green everywhere now, up here. So I've got the right layer, unless you change the color already. All right. All right, so I'll just draw, now we're going to go with lines this time around, not polylines. If I go there like that, and I go straight up there, it automatically detects the perpendicular because I just turned it on a bit earlier. If you can't see it, shift key, right mouse click, and it gives you all the options, all right? And even so, we've got, for example, the perpendicular coming up there now. It's great, but sometimes there's other line work nearby that makes it perhaps pick up the midpoint. If you're that close that you're in the middle, you're only a couple millimeters away, it might just keep jumping from midpoint to perpendicular. So you might want to, even though you've, just to make sure you don't, by the time you click, end up on the midpoint, it's slightly on, ever so slightly on an angle, that line, you can actually force it so it only thinks perpendicular regardless what you've got set up in here. So using this shift right click, I can select object snaps, that's what they're called, that are not in my settings already to be available, such as perpendicular is already available, the midpoint. But I might want, for example, an intersection. I don't think I got intersection, I can't remember. Well, I might want node or nearest or something, all right? And it forces that to be available. Now, if I go perpendicular now, it will make sure I just get perpendicular. All right? There it is, which means it goes straight across. There you go. So now we can go offset. We'll click on this, go offset. Now it's going to type in 90, but look what's on the bottom of my screen, and also in the floating what do you call it, prompt there, it's got 90 already in there. So if it's already in there, you don't have to type it. You just have to accept it. And you accept it by pressing enter. All right, so I've got to press enter. Yes, I accept the 90. and then you go which side, as you can see, to the left side in this instance, and there it is. Now, apart from the fact that we've got to clean that up a bit, so there's no line going across here, it's all good, and here as well, right? All right, so we'll do that cleaning up, which is called trimming, a bit later. Now I want to start setting up my laundry here. All right, so I'll just wait for you to catch up. All right, so we're going to continue now, but just before we go ahead, just revise this keyboard, mouse. The middle mouse button obviously does the zooming by scrolling up and down. And if we double click in it, it does a zoom extent. So for example, if we've lost our drawing or if it's just hanging there and you don't want to be scrolling along, you can just double click it in there and it brings it all in view. Of course, if it's just hanging there like this and you think, okay, well, I'll just pan it up a bit, that's fine. You can just see it there. You can bring it up a bit, and then you can zoom it or whatever, right? So the three functions of this, and there was a fourth one last week we talked about with the 3D shift key holding it down. Don't go there now, but don't worry about that one. But yeah, definitely the basic three are the scrolling, and you have to have your mouse at the area that you want to be zooming into. So if I want to look at that corner down there, I'll just put my mouse over the top of that bottom corner there, and you can see it's keeping it in view. Contrary, if I just had my mouse over here, having to get to that corner, oh gee, I already lost it. You know, it's gone off screen. So you've got to just have it on top of it. All right, easy. All right, so now I want to come up here and work on this area here. So I'm going to put my cursor there, and I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to just adjust it a bit by putting it down a bit like that. So I want to look at this room here, and this room here is, well, the width we've sorted already, and we should just double check that is 3430. But then the depth of this room is 2000. Let me just double check that 3430 in my case. Yes, that's correct, so I'm happy with that. All right, now we'll do the offset here. Now, the problem now, if I do the offset now, is this thing here is one piece. All right, so I do offset 2000 inwards. And we don't want that. We just want to offset the top line only. So we're just going to explode. Okay, so highlight it first, X for explode, press enter, done. Separate lines now. All right. So now I can offset that without any issues. So I go offset, I go highlight it first, and I go O for offset, enter, 2000, enter. And the side to offset is quite obvious, down this side, and then click. All right, so that has quite easily given me the position of where that should be, but at the same time it's made a mess over here, which I have to clean up. So, okay, so that's one way you can do that. There's other ways. We'll maybe explore those other ways with the other rooms. Let's just do it this way for this one, maybe. So yes, we did exploit that first. That's the only way. Had a couple issues there, but that's fine. By the way, the explode command is also this one here above the offset if you're looking for a button there. All right, so we're going to offset this again, and we're going to go 90 this time, enter. And be careful which side. You can see the one that you picked is a more sort of highlighted one, the more bluish one. So that's, you've got to work out up or down, and we're going down this time. There it is. You got it? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so now we've got that there. We have to trim this up and clean it up. We'll do that in a minute, but I'll show you another technique of perhaps putting the beginning the toilet here. We could easily go 900, of course, down. And then we've got to go across to, is there any dimensions? It says it's 1500 internally. And then there's another one here that goes across. All right, so this one here we have to do some construction work to actually get that happening. All right, so yeah, we need to draw a line that's 1500 across here, and we can go up even into that, and then offset 90, whatever, and then we can do this here, which is this one here. Then we'll go 2 for 40 across here. We'll come up. Now we're going to then this one here. Actually, I thought I had another dimension of how long that wall is. So I'll sort that out in a minute. So there you go. Might be missing one dimension. I'm not sure. So here we go. For now, let's just go ahead and put that 900 down. All right, how are we going to do this? Let me have a look. All right, I've got my object snaps on, and I've got this other thing on as well. It's called object snap tracking. This may help me. We'll see. All right, so I'll go line, and then this requires a little extra sort of pausing and sort of skill, I suppose, to get it to work. So if I go hang around there and come down a bit, I don't know. It might be working. I'm just going to type in 900. And I'm just going to put it in, and then I'm just going to escape it, and I'm just going to measure because I'm dying to find out if I got it right. Oh, I got it right. But it was a very unfortunate example because I'll show you why. Let me just do it the other way. If I go here, line, hang around there for a bit, I don't click, and I move up slowly. Oops, so go back on track. Now, you may be able to see a dashed line next to my crosshair, right? Now that dashed line is actually green, and that dashed line was actually forming over the top of before when I was doing this, over the top of this. So I really couldn't see if it was actually forming or not. Green on green, I couldn't tell. It worked, but I didn't know it was working. So I couldn't see that dashed line, that it's actually hooked onto that endpoint, and it was able to do that. So it is a problem because of that, but it works quite well where there's other different colors, I suppose. If I go a line, go here, let's go down this way. Even this one here, I can go down. I can just see a little bit of a dash in there, but it actually is extending up the top as well. Not sure why. So this way. So you can see it's a bit of a muck around. See, I can start a line from that corner, say 3,000 millimeters away, without me actually having to draw a line first and then have to delete it. So that's essentially what we're doing down here in the toilet, just starting the line. Now I could have offset that, but I thought I'll show you that technique. It's probably it's going to be a bit of hit and miss because you know when it's worked, when it's actually ready to go, because it usually leaves a little green cross there. So if I go like that and move away, there's a tiny, you can't see it, there's a tiny cross on there, which you can't see because it's on, you can only see one little bit of it sticking up. So it's a little X, or a little cross actually, on top of that. Now once that's happened, it then gives you this dashed line. For that reason, I don't use it often because it's a little difficult to get that going. But have a go. Probably better off not using it for this, but better off just trying it out. If you want to try the first time, I would just try doing this. I would try just so you can get the technique. Go here and just move across to the left and type in a number, say 1200 or something like that, and see if it actually started the line from 1200. So you do a line somewhere, and measure it and see if it actually did do that. If you want to get the idea of how that works, get the feel of it, better off. Yeah, this one here, these two have to be on. Yeah, so then you should be able to start the line. Now, I don't click here. If I click here, I will end up creating another line which I have to erase later. I just hang there. I click the line, I hang there, and I go to the left, like that. And then I type in a number, 1200, enter. Yeah, I don't click, I just hang there, and then I move. Just a pause for about half a second, maybe to a second, and then start moving very slowly to the left. And you see that little dashed line appearing, and if you see that, it might disappear if you move down a little bit or up, but if you go back on that level, it'll come back again. Try that out.
You move that out to the middle.
Yeah, so I said I want to start a line from.
So what you were doing with the other one was picking that up and running down.
Yeah, I was running down with that one, yeah. Don't worry too much if that doesn't work. Once you master that, I'll show you something else. Because we are, in fact, learning a lot of these techniques, although we might not use them for this, it's good to know them because for something else down the track, you might want to use them. And it is part of the curriculum, let's just say, that we learn a lot of these objects and that things. It's all right. All right, while in the mode of this, let me show you something else. All right, so suppose you want to start a line from where, if you imagine this line continuing down and this one continuing across, right from that corner, right, you want to start a line from there. How do you do it? Right, of course you can draw a line down here and a line across here, and where they meet, you can go to the intersection and start a line, but I don't want to do that. So this is what you do. You hit the line command, you use that technique we did before, go down here. You don't have to go as far as the corner, just down a bit. Then you just leave it. And see how it's left, you might be able to see it, it's left a little cross there, just left it there. It's just a little green cross. You see it on yours. I'm going to go here, hang around, come across all the way now. And where, then you remember that other cross. And once you get that X, click, and then you begin your line from there. You can go anywhere you like after that. All right. Have a go at that. Oh, I can't do it a second time. That costs extra. I'll do it. No, that's all right. I'll do it. That's all right. I'll do it as many times. Here you go. So we hit the line command, and then I'll begin from the bottom this time, and I don't click, and then I just begin it, and just let it go, and then start this side now. There you go. So now it works it out. Got it? Yeah, excellent. Love it. Love it, love it. All right, suppose if you've got that, then let me give you something harder. I don't know. I'm going to give you. What's that? Oh no, I just deleted it. I just wanted to start it. It doesn't matter what it is. We're not using it. We're just playing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we're just playing.
Yep.
Yeah, we're learning technique. We're not actually building up the floor plan at this point. We're just wasting time. Yeah, as such. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, it's our job. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here, and if I wanted to start a line that's halfway between this corner and that corner, how do I do it? Of course, I could make a line in here, and I could start another line that goes from the midpoint of that and wherever I want to go after that, and that's fine, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have that line there and then have to delete it, right? So I want to start from there, but I have no line to start with. So the way you do it is this. You go line, all right? Now, this is the only place you're going to find this. You're not going to find it from in here, all right? The only place you can get this command, or the sub, it's an object snap. So it's a sub command. It's not an actual command. It can't live outside having a command active, right? You can't issue an object snap. I can't just go shift right click and go, okay, endpoint, for example. Okay, so how do we start it? We go line, and we'll go shift right click. I was trying to demonstrate before. If I didn't have a line command, I went like this. I hit the endpoint. It says unknown command. Okay, so you need to have a command active before you can issue any of those things. Right. So we'll go line, shift right click, and I want, that list down here I was telling you before. It's got all of these in there, up to there, but it hasn't got any of these. Right? And the one I want is this one here, mid between 2 points. You can actually type it in. It's MTP or M number 2P, middle between 2 points. But anyway, nobody types it in. Shift right click, click that. And the first question is asking is, you can see what it's actually put in there, M_M2P. But M2P is the actual command you normally would as a cheat. If you want to learn those shortcuts, it puts them down there. That's what it is, M2P. And now, it says first point of midpoint. So he wants to know what those corners are, where they are. So you can do the maths and start from midpoint. So it doesn't matter which one you give it. First, this one is one. It says, where's the second one? What's this one here? And it begins that line from that location exactly. All right, done. Now mine is flicking around because somehow I accidentally have taken my ortho off, and I was able to do a rubber bandy line, but that's all right. Okay, so that's it. So try that out. So line command, shift right click, mid between 2 points, give it the 2 corners, and it will begin the line from there. Okay, so all of that I've been telling you is just little techniques as we're going along. Rather than I could sit here and do a whole lecture on about all these little techniques and you're never going to use them, but I'll just throw 1 or 2 every so often, and then hopefully we'll remember them. All right. All right. So next thing now is this one here. All right, we'll go back to the toilet, finish off the toilet. All right, so let's go and see what we can do. Now, the toilet's actually 1,500 long inside of the width of it. So we could have stopped this line at 1,500, but we didn't. So it's probably overshot it, or it's too small or something. So we need to work out where that 1,500 is. So I'm going to draw another line. This time I'm going to hang around from here, and I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to type in 1,500, enter, and I'm going to go up and finish off there. Now, I could have offset that whole line across. We've got this big long line of 1,500 which I had to clean up, but I just decided to do that little technique we did before, where I just hang there for a bit, and I just came across, and you see, if I do the line again, you hang there and you go across. Oops, hang there a bit, that didn't work, see? Now, see how it's putting in that, it gives me the little X on my crosshair, and it just puts in this extension dotted line. Once you got that, and you see the numbers change as you're going along, you can just type in the number, and you go 1,500. If you can't do it, you're going to have to highlight this, back to basics, offset, type in 1,500, enter, and put it over here, and then you get a long line like this instead of a short one is what you needed. All right, so once you do that, you can offset both sides 90. So I'm going to offset this one here, 90, enter. Now, with the beauty about with the offset command, you can keep going forever. For as long as you want 90s, you can just keep going 90 like this. I've only got 2, but I can keep going. So I've got enough information here now to set out the other room. Okay, so we head to the finish line. We got that. Now, we got a. Okay, so what there is at this, as long as you got this intersection, is anyone not have this intersection here? No, this. Something that would define that point. Right? You haven't got it? Yours is too short?
We did 15 on 900.
Oh, you did 15 and it went up and then you offset it again?
Yeah.
If you offset that line there, you would have, it doesn't matter, you still got that endpoint. Even if it's like that, you got that.
Oh, okay.
If you got that endpoint there, it's fine. Even if it's like this, it's fine because you got that. If it's like that, it's fine as well. All right. As long as you got that endpoint there, because that's where we're going to begin our 45-degree. All right. But no, it doesn't have to be done right now, but we're going to need it. Now, we're going to, before we do that, let's do this other thing here. This one. Let's draw this one here. All right. So this one here is 2,000 down, apparently. And then it goes across 2440, says, on the outside. Oh, no, it's 2,000 to that internal one. Yeah, and then it's 90 offset. Yeah, but then it's 2,400. Okay, so how are we going to do that? All right, maybe this one will do it a bit differently. All right. Yeah. Oh, there is. Yeah, that's to the internal. You're right. There is. Yes, there is to internal. Yes, we could do that. 2350. You're right. Thanks. Okay. Well, the other way is to make a mess, but we won't do that. Well, by offsetting the whole thing. So let's go with line, and we go down 2,000. We said, and we go 2350. Was it? Thank you for that. 2350, and that's the internal of the bath. And then it goes up a bit. I'm just going to go up that much because there's a 45 in here somewhere. So it's going to go up a little bit. And I'll offset that 90. All right, so remember when we offset that 90, enter, I can do more than one. So I'm going to offset that, and at the same time, I'm going to offset this one. All right. Now, when we put these things here to get them to join up at the corner, that should be whatever that was, 2440. All right. Okay, so today I just want to finish off up to the 45, and we'll leave it there. So let me just draw another line. How do we check if that's 2440? Well, you can still check before we join it up. I can just go distance from the end of that to the end of that, 2440. That's correct. So that is to the outside, 2440. We're doing well. So now I just want to draw another line that goes from the end point here that I was looking for before. And that's going to go 45 degrees, right? So what did we learn last week about at a distance angle 45 minus 45, whatever? Well, forget about that. It's too hard. That's too hard. Okay. So, yeah, well, look, I'll do it, but I'll do it, but I'll show you another way. So you can go at, I'm just going to guess a number. It doesn't matter how, 1500 at the angle of minus 45 degrees. There it is. We can just join it all up. It's easy. We won't do it like that though. I'll show you another way. Easier way. Delete this. Here's another guy here. Next to the ortho, there's this guy here that looks like this object snap tracking, but next to that, this thing called polar tracking. Click that one. Turn that one on. When you turn that one on, the perpendicular turns off. They don't live together, right? At each other. So, yeah. Oh, they don't. If one's on, the other one's off. They just don't get on. So, but if you click in the down arrow next to it, it tells you what angles are active. In mine is 45, yours is probably 90. Right? Change it to 45 degrees. So your crosshair, when we had it at the perpendicular, was locking in at 90 degrees. 0, 90, 180, whatever. This one here will make it lock at every 45 degrees. So that would include 0, 45, 90, 135, 180, right? So I'll click that, make sure that's on, active, and now we're going to draw a line that goes from the end point of that to see how when I move this around, it locks in and it gives me that continuation line. That means I'm locked into 45 degrees. It tells you even on the screen that it's 45 degrees. You see the angle on the screen? When you see it locked into 45 degrees, just click the length of the line, about there will do. And there we are. That should be 45 degrees. It'll just offset this 90 to this side, and we're good. We'll just give it a quick clean job, and we're going home. All right, so last few minutes, we're going to clean this up very quickly. Shut down already. Okay, that's all you can watch for now. We're going to repeat it next week anyway. So I'm just going to go, it's a new command, late at night, but that's all right. We're going to do it next week as well. So I'm going to click this one here called fillet. All right. The radius is set to 0, which is good. And we'll revise next week. Click multiple. It's a multiple option down the bottom. Click it. All right. So then you click on this line here and this line here. And click on this one here and this one here. This one here and this one here. That one and that one. It's got to match them up. There you go. And then escape. Ha! Fillet. Fillet is the one. Your friend is fillet. That one there. Anyway, I think this one goes across here anyway. I think we've got a... Yeah, no, we've got a door up here. Sorry, yeah, that's all right. All right. So that's how I've done it. I'm going to undo it, and I'll save it like this, and I'll come back next week and repeat it for those that missed it. All right. All right. Thank you. Have a great night, and well, most of the night's gone now. Great week ahead. I'll be right there.